Hello, 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 hello. Right, today you are actually going to have to all let me know if this is working because new webcam and new mic. We're going professional with it now. So I need everybody to type in the chat. Let me know, 1, how the audio is. 2, you can see me. Everything's good. Yeah. How are we all doing today? And the fan is going, so that is why this is getting a little bit freezy there. It is not a ghost. Philip Erickson saying working fine. Diego Blanco, all good. Let's go. No problems. Perfect. Perfect. Who have we got in the chat then today? Let's see who's in the chat. Leave a like if you've just joined. Try and run this up. Try and run up our like count. Before we talk some Chelsea, because last few days of the deadline now. Last few days before the Club World Cup, today and tomorrow. How are we feeling? How are we feeling going into the Club World Cup? So we've had Mamadou Sarr announced today. Obviously, we already knew he was joining. Likely he just goes to the Club World Cup, gets assessed there. How do we feel about that one? We'll talk about him a little bit today. We'll talk about what I think will happen for the Club World Cup before it and after it, because I put a tweet out the other day. And you know what's brilliant about actually having a proper setup now is I can check my phone if I need to go on Twitter quickly to check what I've typed. I can really quickly go on my phone, whereas before everything was set up through my phone and it was all really awkward. So happy days in that sense. Where should we go? Opinion on Garnacho. Links wise, I think it would make. I've said this before. I was actually nowhere near as sort of against Garnacho as a lot of people were. But if you're going to get Gittens, there is really no point. I think I want a different profile. For me, it was either Gittens or Garnacho. You needed one or the other, and then you can go elsewhere with your second sort of wing/forward choice. So that's sort of where I'm at with him. I don't mind him as a profile. I genuinely think that I put this out on Twitter as well, and a lot of people sort of disagree. I think he'll do well when he moves. I think he'll move somewhere, and I think he still has so much scope to explode because he's got a lot of the traits that I like in a winger, especially a goal-scoring winger. But I think there's a lot of sort of tensions that come with him in terms of off-field things, like his attitude has been questioned, things with his brother on social media. There's obviously been questions about as well. But I do think he'll do well somewhere. I do. I think it's worth taking a risk on Garnacho for somebody else. I just don't think it's worth it for us. I think we're better off going for the Gittens sort of risk, and then hopefully like a Rodgers. Because firstly, if you didn't see the other day, we did a stream the other day speaking about Rodgers and like Kudus and all these sort of left wing hybridy options. I've seen on Simon Phillips' Substack today that Rodgers. We've made contact with his agents or something. So that could be big. Big up for Jason Groves. Big up. Worried about Acheampong's game time. I'm not worried yet. I think let's see how the window sort of pans out and see where we go from there. See if Sarr goes on loan. I think Maresca likes Acheampong, so I think we'll find a way to utilise him, and then if he needs to go on a loan, then he goes on loan. But I'm not too worried about Acheampong yet. So I don't want his route getting blocked because I like him a lot, same as Ishe. But I think there's plans for him. I do. I think there'll be plans for him. I need your breakdown on Sarr. Is he any good? He is good. He is very good. I like him a lot. Whether he stays next season plays a big part is what I don't know. Very good progressor through the lines. Has got that sort of aggressive type to him. Like he's got the, and again, Prometheus Barmer has also just asked, so we'll go through it a bit. Prometheus, is that how do you say it? Prometheus. Yeah, he's got the build, very good at sort of being that aggressor in terms of going to win the ball. Now he has actually played maybe not as much as an aggressor role as Strasbourg, but I do think that he's got the physical profile to play next to Colwill and work very well. So let's see how he does at the Club World Cup. Maybe I'll do a video dedicated to Sarr to speak through like what he's like his qualities in a little bit more detail on the channel, if that's something that you guys would like, if you need like a deep breakdown like Jason sort of said. Super Monty saying all good. What's up, Super Monty? Do you see George as a possible second left wing option? Will he be reliable enough? Right, so I was thinking about this yesterday, right? Because Gittens obviously looks like it's going to happen. And I am a huge fan of Tyreek George. And I was thinking about them two together, long term, being the two. Now, I think a hybrid signing happens no matter what. I would be shocked if we didn't make another forward signing along with Gittens. So whether that's like a Rodgers or a Kudus, or even if it's like opportunistic, I think we'll make something of a signing in that area alongside Gittens, which would free up George for a loan next season if we believe that the minutes won't be there for him. So that's an option. And I think he could really benefit from a loan. However, when I was thinking about how they'll sort of dovetail off each other, I do see them progressing into similar types of winger, in the sense of I want them to be those goal-scoring types of winger. I think George has a little bit more in his creative bag in terms of sort of creative thinking ahead to create something out of creative passing and something a bit different. Gittens is a tiny bit more direct, quite a bit more direct actually at the minute. And he's got that sort of killer instinct to attack and attack and attack. He's got that goldfish trait. So I do actually think Gittens and George could help each other refine parts of their game that I'm not as sort of big on by battling each other and almost actually round each other out in the end, because I think they've both got traits that the other one need. So I think that could be long term. It could be really interesting for that left wing spot. But I would like to see George go on loan next season if all is well, because I do think after this season, if you could get him a loan where he gets really good minutes, then yeah, I think it would be a good thing for Tyreek. Hey bro, do you think Noni stays? And if he does, and if yes, does he start next season? I think he starts on the right next season, and then Esteval slowly sort of like wiggles his way in. People know my thoughts on Noni, and I'm going to go to this now by Toby saying change Noni to Neto. I'm not even saying it won't be Neto, because I like Neto as well for certain reasons. I think he works really hard off the ball. I think his crossing ability will work really well with someone like Delap. But for me, Noni is just so perfect for this system in terms of being direct. What I would say is I don't think you need Gittens and Madueke together, because I think they give you similar traits. So you could probably get away with only having one on the pitch at any point, which is sort of why I think, and again, it's probably, there's games where you might want both of them if you really want to push the sort of directness of this team and have both wingers staying really high and wide, and that is their job to isolate. But Madueke could play on the left a little bit, depending if we don't make another signing. Like if we're talking just about the Club World Cup, I think we'll actually start the Club World Cup like this. I'd be shocked if we didn't start the Club World Cup like that. And also Sarr, I don't think would start either. I think it'd be Chalobah or Tosin. So if we talk, let's make Sarr yellow, just because it's like a new signing thing that I've been doing. So if we did it like, if that's how we start in the Club World Cup, in my opinion, or at least close to it, if Manyan signs. So yeah. And then obviously you got Santos from the bench. You got a lot of players that will hopefully get minutes. But I think this is sort of like the team that we'll probably be looking at. Now, again, in the group stages, it might be very different, because in the group stages, we might experiment a little bit more. But yeah, I do think Noni is severely underrated. Could we see two hybrid options, one for the left and one for the right? I don't think so, because Esteval's technically a hybrid option, as much as he's like, we want him to play as the right winger. Like, he sees himself as a bit of a hybrid option. I think he's been told he'll get some opportunities in the 10, maybe as the Palmer backup at points if he's out, to get a few minutes in that pocket. So, wait, when did that come out, Martin? Has that just come out somewhere? Let me have a quick look. But yeah, I think we only get one. I think it's either Rodgers or Kudus, in my opinion. Don't mind Noni's a squad option. Yeah, see, that's where I'm at. Like, I think this season, I think he'll probably play a really big part again. Next season, when Quenda joins, if Esteval's sort of really coming into the fray and he's looking good and he's really sort of pushing the level, At that point, I wouldn't mind Madueke leaving. I wouldn't buy a new right-sided starter. If you're signing Kudus, then fair, because like he can start on the right, but he can also start on the left, and he can also start as a 10. So he is like the definition of your hybrid. Sorry, Daniel, I missed the first one. Just seen that you set it up there. Big up. In terms of an update, I have no idea. I'm just about to check if what Martin said about, if I can see what Martin said about Manyan and Broya. But Gittens, I feel like we're going to get something big today. I feel like we get at least one Here We Go / Ormstein Bomber today. So yeah, that's sort of where I'm at. I think Kudus or Rodgers, I'd be quite happy because I think they give you very good versatility. Because as well, we've seen Rodgers can play on the right. Like that's the sort of sort of attacker signing that I want alongside Gittens, because I think it gives us a good mix of touchline wingers, inside forwards, shoot first players, feet first, like to feet first players, runners, etc. I think it's a good mixture. Thoughts on Thomas Araujo? Really like him. I like him a lot. I think he's got ability to step in on the ball. He's aggressive when he needs to be. He's got the intensity of a defender as well. Like likes to defend in those sort of wide areas, which I quite like. Yeah, I like him a lot. I do. I like him a lot more than most Portuguese. Pride of London reported it. Let me have a quick look. I like him a lot more than what do you call it? A lot of the Portuguese. Like I'm not a huge fan of Antonio Silva, for example. I would prefer Thomas Araujo. Hello, Melly. Say what's up in the chat. Melly, what's up? Hang on, let me check this thing. So Pride of London. Is that what we're saying? Where have they put it? Is it on Instagram or something? No, I do. IB saying Diamonde. He is my favourite. He is my favourite from Portugal. Oh, just in, breaking. Here we go. Ryan Cherki to Manchester City. Literally 30 seconds ago. What do we think of that move, chat? What do we think? I think that's going to be a really good move. I made a sort of short about it the other day, how I think that could work off the ball, and how I think maybe Pep's going to have to be a little bit sort of experimental with it. It depends if he can get the buy-in from the player. But on the ball, you just got an elite low block sort of breaker. Where were we? Vega played really well for Portugal yesterday. He did when he came on. He played quite well. I would keep him, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Do you think Rodgers translates well to a possession side, as most of his good work happens in transition? I think even the games we've seen him for England, though, you can see with his footwork in tight areas, he's got the ability. He's physically made for the Premier League. Yes, he's good in transition as well, which is another benefit to having. But I do think he can easily sort of translate to a possession side. I do. Take Morgan Rodgers at Chelsea because his best friend McCall Park. It would be brilliant to see, wouldn't it? Imagine like the double celebrations we'd get from both of them. I would love them both to play together for Chelsea. Yeah, so yeah, Diamonde is my favourite from Portugal. Really good. Is that you saying you're doing really good, Melly? Let's go. Do you feel one touch line and one hybrid left wing is enough cover? I worry if we have a few injuries, we'll end up with a bit of a mixed match of profiles. Of course, with a few injuries, you do end up with that, but I think that's sort of the point of it, isn't it? Like, you don't want to over bloat it. You don't want 2 touchline wingers and 2 hybrids, just because if one touchline and one hybrid gets injured, then you've got sufficient cover. Like, the idea of a hybrid profile is that if your touchline does get injured, you've got more options without bloating the squad too big. So I think that I do think that is enough cover. I think you've got to be smart with the squad planning. Of course, it can leave you like there'll be points in the season, and you like nobody wants injuries, but that's sort of the point of the hybrids are there to sort of ease that burden. Is sort of what they're there for. Don't think Palmer moves a lot in that 10 role. For example, the Lavia pass to Palmer against Liverpool that led us 1-0. He needs to move more instead of just waiting for the ball. He does move a lot from like high to low. I think what you sort of like, because he moves into this channel a lot to pick up the ball. I think even for England the other day, I think the thing with Palmer is he's sort of got this taste now for being the guy, which is like completely fair because he is so good. And I actually like Palmer dropping into these areas to get on the ball because I think he's too good to sit on the periphery of a game away from the ball. I think you need these elite level players to come and get on the ball and get their touches and really sort of dictate the way that teams are pressing you. Because if he drags himself all the way over here and teams are so scared of him getting the ball, he's opening space for other players. Whereas if other players do it and they're not as scared as they would be on Palmer, then they'll dedicate more men towards Palmer. And if he's higher up the pitch, like having a player like Palmer on the pitch isn't just about his touches, it's also about how he changes the landscape for other people. But yes, of course, it's a way that he can evolve is sort of doing those sort of things like you're talking about against Liverpool, where he almost looks a little bit idle because, again, he's got that mannerism. Like everybody would say it's like lackadaisical. You could say it's sort of, what's the word? Oh, there's a word for it. Nonchalant. That's the word I was looking for. He's got that sort of nonchalant nature that he can almost just drift into these spaces and then all of a sudden switch it on really quick, drag into that space, pick up the ball, and then spin away like he did against Curtis Jones. So yeah, that's definitely something that of course he can do. Only Pep can make Cherki work in the PL. As a person think he isn't really a team player out of possession. Yeah, there's out of possession issues, like I say. City is so bad next year. It's going to be really interesting, isn't it? What's up, Will Kelly? Big up to me. Big up to you. How's it going, mate? How is it going? I'm good. So how are you? Let's have a quick refresh because I haven't looked at the likes yet. Because we've got 70 odd people in here. So surely we should be on 70 likes. Surely. It's the only way it works, isn't it? We are on 26. 26. I'm going to refresh that in 30 seconds. Can we at least run that to 50? Surely. We've got 72 people in the building. 72. Getting to 50 should be a piece of cake. I should refresh this and it should easily be 50. Easily. I'll just quickly check this as well whilst I wait. 20 seconds, everybody run a like up. And then we'll carry on. So yeah, Cherki's done. Thomas Frank apparently in the final stages as well to Tottenham. What do you guys think about that move? Because I think that'll be quite good for them. It doesn't worry me. It's not like a move that I'm really scared about Tottenham under Thomas Frank. But I do think it is a clever move for Tottenham. Put it that way. So yeah. Right, let's refresh. Now it's going to be on 50. 36. We've got 10 more, or however many more we got. We'll carry on with the stream. Please like the stream because it really does help. If we can run up these likes, the stream gets way more people. We've got 80 people in here. If the more likes we can get that over the 100 mark of people in here. It helps me, and then it helps me to deliver more content to you guys because I can attribute more of my time to this. Because after this, I will be going and working on other things. I think today I'm going to be working a little bit on Arsenal's transfer window, which is going to be interesting. That's what my afternoon of work is looking like once we come off stream. The issue with Vegas, I want to play left back. We want Vegas to play left back, so centre back, left centre back, and at times in midfield. Yeah, I know. But to be fair, like he was doing that to good effect to begin with, and then like he sort of got his minutes in the Portugal national team at left centre back, and then from there, I think he wanted more minutes, sort of as that left centre back to give him a chance at becoming that permanently in the Portugal squad. I think if it wasn't for that Portugal call-up, I think he'd have been more than happy playing the role that he did. Also, I know we won't do it, but Julian Alvarez is literally perfect for that inverted left wing /10 role. If you're trying to add like a Marmoush-esque sort of player, then of course, yeah, because that's exactly what Marmoush has replaced at City. But that would be astronomical fee. That would cost a lot. Kudus or Rodgers? It's so close, but I go Rodgers purely on the fact of being right-footed. It's that close for me. Oh, it's that close for me. Sorry, I feel a bit like hay fevery today, so if I keep sipping water, just to try and keep my throat sort of in check so I can talk. So yeah, Rodgers because of the right-footedness. To be honest, my concern with Rodgers Enzo pairing, it could not work like Enzo and Sancho. That's where someone like Cucurella comes into a massive effect, sort of being that guy to aid the rotations. I'm not sure if you were here in the stream the other day, Football Universe, but this sort of triangle on the right, on the left, sorry, would be really important for the rotations. allowing Enzo to drop into here, Cucurella to take up that spot, or Rodgers to come in here, Cucurella to take up that spot, and it would be a very sort of fluid triangle that would need to be worked on. But if you can get that right with coaching details and time, that's how you get that to work to the best effect. Where would you rank our midfield in the Premier League? Depth-wise, genuinely, I think it's the best. I think if you're talking purely based on how good it is, like a 5-man midfield roster, and that's not even including Palmer. I'm just talking about Caicedo, Lavia, Enzo, Andre, Asugo. I think that's the best in the league. Starting midfields, it's tough because I genuinely do think it's still number one, but it's just one of those things where, like, let's see how Reinders does for City, and like with Rodri back, if he's the same sort of level. Zubimendi with sort of Rice as well. I think that's going to work really well. I think there's some really big midfields in the league now. Like, obviously, the Newcastle midfield 3, I think, is brilliant as well. So it is tough. Who's the backup option if we miss out on Ekitike? So I don't know what the club's option would be. I actually think that if you can't get Ekitike, I don't mind running with Jackson in the lap. Now, I do think it's very undercooked in terms of what it will get you. But if you then go and splash way more on the hybrid profile, and it's like a superstar hybrid profile, then I think that's fine, because I think these two still give you a very good mixture of traits, which is what I have been asking for, a mixture of traits. Now, could it maybe be a João Pedro who can fill this role and this role? Maybe. That could become an option if you're talking about backup. The reason I like Ekitike so much, and again, I've put a video out on the channel. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's like a 10-minute sort of scout files video on him. Is he can do everything that you want him to do in the sort of false 9 type role. So you look last night, if you guys watched Spain, Portugal, how much they're sort of talking and like waxing lyrical about Oyarzabal, who's dropping in, playing flicks around the corner, and it's really hard for the centre-backs to pick up because that's the role he's playing, like a false 9. What Ekitike gives you is exactly that, but as a 6'3" forward, to the point where if they don't follow him out and they want to play in a low block, we have the overload in midfield when he drops in there, but he's also tall enough, and like, again, I've spoke about, he's got very like long legs, go-go gadget legs, to the point where he still has the ability to cause chaos in the box as well. He's not completely inept in the box. Now, is it his strength yet? No. He does have development in terms of how he attacks the ball in the box, how he sort of, because he's quite evasive to try and get on the ball, how he can sort of mould that to himself. In the same way, Jackson, I think he's just got a higher ceiling than Jackson inside the box that allows you to do both. And I think that's why Ekitike is so valued, because people can see him. They can see that he already offers a skill set that's desirable while still having the scope to improve in the other skill set. So he's an even more acquirable, he's an even more desirable asset, because he could become even more, even though he can instantly add something. Mine number 1 next season, Jorgensen number 2. Yeah, that's what I would do as well, Daniel. What do you think of the lab? I think the way he keeps the centre-backs on him will help Enzo and Palmer box crash in. Yeah, 100%. Same with Cucurella, same with the back post. I think Gittens will get quite a few goals coming in at that back post with the lap in the box as well. So yeah, 100% agree. That's what I've spoke about a lot. The lap signed and Nkunku set to leave. Where does Ekitike fit in the striker plans? Is he in the lap complement or alternative? Given his Frankfurt form and $6 million price tag, is there concern about? I would take him 100%. If he joins, though, it probably does spell the end for Jackson, as much as they keep sort of briefing that it wouldn't. I do think that it would be, I think they're trying to protect his price, but he would fit very, very well. And there's opportunity for them to play together up front, Delap and Ekitike, but it very likely would be one or the other. But like late in games, you could throw them both on. That wouldn't be a problem. Rodgers in the Enzo role against weaker sides, 5 attackers like City have done. Possible. It's something you can look to do. Obviously, the biggest thing with that is you have to then press in the 4-1-4-1 throughout. You can't really tweak it to press in the 4-2-3-1 or the like drop into that sort of block, or even a 4-4-2 block, because then you have Rodgers or Palmer as part of the two-man midfield with Caicedo. So it'd always be Caicedo as the lone DM, and then pretty much what we've done all season with Enzo and Palmer as the two pressing high with the lap or like Jackson, two wingers, and then you got the four in sort of intact with the fullbacks. That would work. So against very weak sides, then yeah, you can definitely experiment with that. But it just depends on how they're going to look to play against you, what sort of players they have in those roles. I'm trying to think of an example, but like if they've got a really good ball carrying central midfielder who can get them out, say Forest, who are very defensive, but they're not weak. So like just because they're defensive, maybe like you don't start that way, but it also gives you the opportunity to do that late in the game, right? If Rodgers isn't playing, he's on the bench, or you've got Rodgers on the left and you're 0-0, 70th minute. Right, let's take off Enzo, let's shift Rodgers into here, let's put a new winger, let's put Gittens on the left. So then you've got Gittens and Rodgers both on the pitch. So yeah, then of course in that sense, yeah, 100% it gives you options. I think that's what a lot of the squad building's about, right? Give Maresca lots of options to change games, because I think this season we've not had anywhere near enough options that he can change things from the bench with. Overlapping profiles with Jackson or potential imbalance? Do you mean the left wing? I think he could do it, but I just wouldn't look. I'd prefer to look elsewhere for a left wing. If you're going to have Delap, Ekitike and Jackson, I just think that's overkill. I think Ekitike and Jackson offer too many similar sort of qualities to really have them both together. Would you be happy if our only incomings this window with Delap and Gittens? Personally, I think that's enough, including return and loanees. If you're talking purely like the window now before the Club World Cup, then yeah. Because I think Petrovic for the Club World Cup would be fine, and it gives you a chance to assess him a little bit better. Obviously, you got Andre Santos coming in for extra depth. Asuga will be there. So, yeah, I do. I think it is strong enough. But, yeah, I think it would be brilliant if we have Mainan to go into the World Cup, the Club World Cup, because it just gives a sort of good start point. He's in between the six. The defenders can sort of come to grips with, like, what they've got behind them. Really helps for playing out from the back, and it would just be nice for him to sort of really settle into the team. So, yeah, that would be nice. Aren't we overdoing it by signing Rodgers and Gittens? Then 2026, you have Quenda, Gittens, Rodgers, Palmer, Paez, George, Neto, Madueke, Esteval. You say that, but there's like, if you was to get Rodgers and Gittens, there's almost no way Neto and Madueke stay. Like, one of them would 100% be gone. So then you'd have Quenda, Gittens, Rodgers, Palmer, Paez, George, Esteval, and the other one, right? So you got 7 or 8, like whichever the one. When I say the other one, I mean Neto or Madueke. And I think the thing is with Paez, he can play this Enzo role. You've got a lot of wingers there that can play both sides. Quend will only just be joining, so he, like, again, he'll probably be at the level straight away. But how much are you going to play him? Same with Paez. I think a lot of these players are like bridging over. And again, you have to see how George does next year and assess what you want to do with him in terms of another loan or. So it gives you a lot of decisions to make further down the line. Yes, for sure. But yeah. Will Kelly says he's doing all right, so that's great. That is great. Sorry, I just got a text. Let's just see. If the owner can get Kudus, where does he fit? What I'd say, watch last stream if you haven't already, because we spoke about it in big detail. But it would be sort of like a hybrid, so he could play off the left, he could play in this pocket, he could play off the right, depending if Madueke stays or goes. I think the idea of that signing is to have sort of tactical flexibility. For sure. I'm going to turn this fan off. See if that stops affecting. Right, let's have a little refresh of the stream. See where we're at. We're at 60 likes. Let's go. So we've got 90 odd people in here. Can we run that to 75? We've got 95. We're nearly at 100 odd people. If we can run that to like 75 plus likes, hopefully we can get over the 100 viewer mark and we'll be laughing. So please, please, please run up the likes and that'll really help me out. The only thing, oh, you did that one. It was earlier reported that the Blues are looking to part with Armando Broja in the summer window, and he might be the missing piece of the puzzle in the Maignan deal. Is that what the report said, Martin, that you were telling me about? Do you think Kudus could be a Noni replacement, or is he not best suited on the touchline? his best position would be being that right winger, yes. So maybe it'd make more sense if Noni was to go, but I also think that it makes sense if he is just the hybrid option overall because he can play on the left. The only thing that doesn't make sense is he's another lefty. So like the swap build, if you had Kudus, you'd have a left footer here with Neto, a left footer with Madueke, a left footer with Esteval. You've also got the left footer Palmer, but again he can play on the right, but he's more of the 10. And then you got like the only right footer would be Gittens. Would you be happy if we sold Madueke for Kudus? I wouldn't be happy, no, because I like Madueke, but I'd understand it more if you bought in a Kudus, because I do think Kudus has a higher ceiling overall. But then I say that, I don't think it's that sort of far apart, because I think Madueke could literally explode. I'm a big fan of Madueke. I don't want to sell him personally. What do you think about Leao? Ridiculously good. Don't know if you watched the game last night. Ridiculously good on the ball. Like has so many. He just strikes fear into defenders at will. But off the ball is an issue, and if you can't equate for that, especially on our left hand side, where like you've already got Enzo who works hard, but it's just not his sort of. It's not in his nature. It's not in his game to like be so effective as a ground covering sort of box to box midfielder. Off the ball. So that would slightly worry me. It would put a lot of strain on Kukurea, is my biggest thing. But that's not to say I wouldn't take it. Like if it happened, I would probably be very excited because the quality that it gives you is unreal. Bade is literally the profile. I don't know why physically he reminds me of VVD a lot. He is a very, very good player. Again, Loic Bade, I mentioned him the other day, really does suit the role. That we're talking about with that Fofana role, very like for like in that terms of aggressor, and he's actually very, very composed on the ball as well, not rushed anymore. He's really sort of developed in that sense. So yeah, for sure. Thomas Frank deserves the big move, been overdue. Yeah, I agree. Frank's a better fit than Ange for sure. Yeah. So that was when I said about Thomas Frank. So yeah, I think Thomas Frank will fail. You think he'll fail? Interesting. Audax Jack saying afternoon. How are we doing, Jack? Thomas Frank doesn't need a lot of resources to get the best out of his players. Daniel Levy will love that type of coach. That's the thing. I saw a few Spurs fans speaking about this. So let me know what you think in the chat. Do you think that because they spent quite big last summer on a few youngsters like Archie Gray, Bergval, Wilson Odobert, do you think that they're looking to bring in Frank so that they don't really have to spend much this summer, but they can still see a tangible improvement? Because I think that could be part of the thinking, which is interesting. Mr. Laz saying, like the video or else. And I think that is absolutely right from Mr. Laz. What should we have as the or else? What's the or else? He'll make them stable and difficult to beat. Yep. What number will Esteval Willian have on his shirt next season? No idea. He could take the 20 off Palmer. Could come in and be the 41. Like, I genuinely don't know. Palmer dropping deep didn't yield enough fruit because we don't have the lethal striker that changes with the lap. You can easily cross to the lap and get lots of assists. The lap can put it and shoot properly. Yes, Palmer's in-swinging crosses are going to be so much more effective now. So much more effective now with the lap. Next season, I want Kukurea to cross the ball in a lot more like he did at Brighton. Seems he stopped doing it for some reason and just focused on defending. Yeah, I think he gets stuck on the touchline a lot is Kukurea's thing. I think he's good at connecting like little passes inside and sort of making those runs into the box and being like a really good counter presser. But yeah, I agree. Obviously, if he can add even more to his sort of like crossing bag, he had a few assists this season though. Am I right? I'm trying to think. He put in a really good cross for someone for an assist. Was it Enzo? Did he assist Enzo in a game in the run-in? I can't remember. Yeah, you want the Cole Palmer double celebration with Rodgers. That would be great. Delap will smash it this year. Jackson will be benched. Yeah, if that's the two, then Delap's definitely the starter and Jackson's like your alternative sort of to give you other options. Where do you think Santos fits into this team? He's not going to push Enzo out, but he's massively rated by the club. I think you've pretty much said it bang on. I don't think he pushes Enzo out, but I think he can play both of those roles. We're going to have Champions League to play. We're going to have lots of cup games as well. Hopefully we can go deep in. Caicedo can play as the inverted right back if you want to try and get all of them in midfield. Palmer can play right wing if you want to try and get all of them in midfield. I think all of the midfielders, Lavia, I think four of the midfielders, not Asugo. I think Enzo, Caicedo, Lavia, and who's the other one? Santos. I think all 4 of them get brilliant minutes this season, and I think Asugo will be the sort of the in and out guy. I'm really quickly gonna have to go blow my nose because I'm struggling to talk. So give me 2 minutes. I'm gonna mute this mic. I'm gonna see how this works because I'm gonna remove the camera. I'll literally be 2 seconds. Sorry about that. I think it's hay fever. I'm almost certain it's hay fever, which is a pain at this time of year for me. Where are we? Fair makes more sense regarding Enzo Rogers. Yes, with the Kukurea thing. Do you think Bainer would work along with Gittens as our left wing option? I like Bainer. I don't think I'd go for him. A bit similar to sort of Xavi Simons for me. I wouldn't go for that choice. Like, I like them as footballers, but they're just not. I think physically they don't quite give me what I'm after in that sort of hybrid role as, say, a Kudus or a Rogers. Let's quickly refresh the stream. 71 likes. Can we get that to 75? 4 more people. If you're one of the 4 people, well, there's like 7 or 8 that haven't liked in the stream at least, but 4 of you, please smash the like button, please. And subscribe if you haven't already, if you're new to the channel. Let me know in the chat, actually, because I'm always really intrigued by this, with this, like with streams and how many of people that have been here before, how many are new. Just put like 1 in the chat if this is your first time in the stream. Put 1 in the chat if this is your first time in the stream. If we get Hugo, do you think he overlaps with Jackson? If not, how do you think this works? No, I think Jackson will go. I think they're just protecting his value. Do you think Andre is more of a pivot option rather than an 8? I think he's better in the pivot. Yeah, I think he can play as the 8, but I think he's better in the pivot because a lot of people like equate to him why he's good in the 8 or why he could play the 8 as the fact of he can sort of arrive in the box. I think he's better at doing that from the number 6 than he is from the number 8. Don't feel confident going into into the Champions League with Jackson Delap. I'll be concerned. Yeah, it's definitely undercooked. But it's not to say that it couldn't work. Sort of, like I say, I think I'm fine with going in with Delap and Jackson if you then make sure that you 100% get the hybrid option that you want. Where are we? What about Osimhen if you can get him now? Again, like Delap is more of that type, but if you can get Osimhen, you get Osimhen, in my opinion. I think he is like the single most game-changing signing for this team. Do I think it will happen? Absolutely not now. I think they've got Delap, and I think they're going to pivot elsewhere in the striker market. But would I? Yeah, for sure. For sure. Do you know how these journalists get their information? I mean, I'm not 100% because I'm not sort of in that journalist. Like I know I have a lot of friends that are like in that sort of industry. But sources are sources. People know people at the club. People know people around the club. People get told, like briefed by the club. It depends who they are. Depends. Everything can. It sort of all depends on who they are and which clubs. Yes, well, looking forward to seeing the Palm and Delap bromance. That will be good, wouldn't it? Opinion on Omega from Strasbourg. Go watch my video on Ekitike and you'll see a list at the start of the video of like similar profiles. Now they have like different tendencies and qualities about them, but in terms of build and the fact that I think that because of their build is what allows them to create high XG chances from low XG, high XG chances from low XG sort of opportunities and phases. Omega's on that list. So Omega's on the list. Tiano Barry's on that list. Who else on the list? Can't really remember. Obviously, Ekitike is from that list. There was a few others on that list that I had because I had sort of they all came under a similar scouting umbrella for me. So yeah, I rate him highly, but he is probably one of the rawest on that list, if not the most raw. So he should be staying at Strasbourg this season, 100%. Kudus is the star hybrid profile that raises the ceiling and makes the Lap and Jackson fine. Yeah, I don't disagree with that, Super Monty. Like I say, definitely still have my reservations in terms of a right footer. So Gittens is an absolute must no matter what. But yeah, I hear it for sure. Can Kudus play touchline winger? Yes, he has the. When I look at these sort of like 10 profiles, these hybrid profiles, the biggest thing for me about can they play as a touchline winger is how it do they have the pace and power? PMP. Rodgers and Kudus have that, in my opinion. They have the pace and power to be effective as a touchline winger in the first phase, but also then come inside when the opportunity presents itself and be a little bit more fluid. Whereas, say, a Xavi Simons, I'm not as keen on him being pinned out wide at any point, even in the first phase. That's sort of my my thing with it. Because I want that player to be able to be an outlet from the long ball as well when it's on. Hope we don't burn out Casado next season. Yeah, and that's a big point about having Asugo and, again, having Santos and Lavia. We've now got so much more we can do. Did Bernardo Silva defend in the midfield too for City? He did at times, yeah. I'm assuming that's thinking about if Rodgers was in here. But yeah, he did at times. Again, they're similar-ish in the fact that they sort of go 4-1-4-1, and then sometimes they'll sort of shift that 4-1-4-1 to a 4-2-3-1, where one of the midfielders drops into the pivot, and then it can almost shift between a 4-2-3-1 and a 4-4-2, depending on where the cam sort of goes, whether he goes alongside the striker or whether they sort of arc it so that Haaland's a little bit higher than, say, De Bruyne. The pressing patterns can change game to game. And obviously that's a huge thing about pressing patterns, is obviously having personnel that you're comfortable that you can change the pressing patterns with them. So like with Enzo, you can make him press further forward if you want him to. He can press in that 4-1-4-1, but he can also press in that, he can also be that sort of secondary, like in the double pivot. Join the stream late, but it's got to be Gittens and Rodgers for me. Yeah, that's what I said in yesterday's stream. I agree with it. No, Saturday's stream. That's what I said as well. So, yeah. Does it make sense to have such a good player as the hybrid Rodgers? I feel that undisputed starters should fit the system. I hear it. Of course I hear it. But I think Rodgers is more than good enough. Like, I get what you mean in terms of, like, is he too good that it complements it, because he'll have to start based on merit, but then it's not quite the systematic, like, what you want. But I'm confident enough with Rodgers out wide. That's another reason why I don't want the hybrid to be Simons, because I don't want to not be confident if that player is warranting starting left wing week in, week out. Estevan number for the season, he picked 20 after Cole Palmer. Wait, is that confirmed, Martin? Or was that just when I was talking about it? Any Magic Mike news? No idea yet. Where does Santos fit in? I feel like I've said it a lot, but one of these two, he's going to rotate all the time. So don't worry about Santos. They're going to get loads of minutes. Yeah, he's not going to get number 10 now, is he? Palmer's took it. But yeah, the number 41's... It's 20 or 41 for me. I think it's one or the other. Do you think Vega has a future at the club? He was decisive as soon as he came on yesterday. I love Vega. I scouted him before he came to Chelsea. I was big on Vega. I like him. I saw him... I always tell this story because I always find it funny. When I found Asugo, because I've been huge on Asugo now for 18 months, maybe nearly 2 years, but it's 18 months because I saw him for the Portugal under-19s. The same day that I scouted Asugo for one of the first games I'd watched Asugo, was the same sort of day that I wrote down Renato Vega as a good player, as an option that I like. Not for Chelsea at that point; it's just scouting work. But I spotted him and I really liked his profile. So, would I keep him? Sure. But then, as somebody said down here, Will Kelly, I wish we could get Hato to give competition for Kukureya. I think if Vega leaves, I do think, especially like with Sarr being the one that joins, I think if we're going to sign a defender now, and I think Sarr and a Chempong, they're going to get assessed in the Club World Cup and see what Maresca sort of thinks of that right-hand side, see if Chalobah stays, for example. Obviously, when Fofana's fit, we know Maresca loves him. So I do think that the defensive signing now could actually be Gerald Hato, because he can play as that left centre-back hybrid. And hopefully that doesn't also block Ishe Samuel-Smith, because I'd like to see him get chances. But yeah. Harry's the only person that put 1 from what I'm seeing down here. Oh no, Martin's new as well. First time here. What's in the tea? Let's go. So we've got a few first time viewers. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe because we're trying to push towards that 5K mark. So what I put this on Twitter. My goals at the start of this year was 10K on YouTube, and then like I think I said 5K on TikTok, but I'm really struggling on TikTok. So we're just going to see where that takes me. But we're really pushing for 10K on YouTube for the year, and we're currently at 4.36K. So I'm kind of thinking that June has to be a really heavy grind month in terms of if I can get to 5K by June, then it feels like we're halfway there. And hopefully, like the new season, the transfer season, everything like that can sort of push us on towards that 10K mark. But like I say, every single comment, that's what pushes the channel. That's what pushes and helps us grow a community bigger. And the community is already so good. So if we can keep pushing, then it would be brilliant. It really would. I've now lost where I am, so that's not great. Found it. Asked about Omegas. I think he can be an option if Ekitike isn't possible now. Yeah, again, I wouldn't say this season, but I hear it. 26 season, we give Jackson 1 more year. Oh, okay. See that I do kind of agree with. But if Jackson then improves heavily, then you've got that option as well. Not gonna lie, I miss Mudryk, Gittens or Mudryk. Mudryk's ceiling is still so high. We wouldn't have to go for Gittens if Mudryk wasn't in this situation. So in that sense, Gittens probably wouldn't have been assessed in the same way. But I think Gittens has more sort of goal scorer mechanics already. Mudryk, he has the highest ceiling because like the ceiling that he had was just undisputed. It didn't come to fruition, and I think his IQ is what let him down in the long run. Like before anything happened, picture is up with Esteval 20. Where's that on, Martin? Is that on the Chelsea website? Just in that we return to Cobham tomorrow to start the preparations. Can't say anything about the number 20 though. So where do you see that, Martin? Do you think Maresca will still play Caicedo deeper? Yeah, I do think he will. I think he likes having him in that position sort of to protect, so that then when the fullbacks do push on, you've got somebody in Caicedo who can sort of make up double. He can almost do double the responsibilities. Can't post links, so I can't show you my findings. Oh, it's all good. It's all good. Just let me know where. Maybe just tell me where you saw it. Like, is it on Twitter or something? Zach saying new setup looked great, Connor. Let's go. What do people think of the setup? Let me know, because we got the new cam, we got the new mic. Is the audio, like, can you tell? Is it audibly better? It is much nicer just being able to sort of switch on, go on my computer straight away. We can use it on Facebook, mine. But yeah, it's much nicer. Just audio's crisp. Let's go, Enoch. For a minute, I thought that said audio's crap, but I'm glad it's crisp. Audax Jack saying audio's much better. That's good. Let's go. That's what we want to hear. You're saving a video where we talk about zone rotations replacement. I think is the next phase. Yes, I'm going to do a big video about the phase 2 of Maresca tactically, because I think the zone rotations and zone replacement factor, which I've spoke about multiple times in terms of on the right and on the left with the triangles sort of here and here. If you to imagine sort of that's like your base, that's sort of like your anchors, and then the rotations of I think the rotations in these sort of areas is what's going to be key this season to adding more fluidity to the team. So yeah, we're going to save a video for that because I've got a big video planned on that one, and I've been doing a lot of work on it anyway, so hopefully we can get a good one out of that. Don't know if it's already mentioned here, but thoughts on Xavi Simons for the left wing AM hybrid. Obviously not as strong as Rodgers on this role, but he's technically amazing. He is technically amazing in terms of on the ball. He's so dynamic on the ball. He's creative. He's brilliant in the pockets, tight control. But the reason I wouldn't go for him, as I've sort of said with Kudus and Rodgers, that physicality in that hybrid role is quite important to me for what I think we need. So it kind of, for me, it puts Simons on the back burner. Would I get excited? Pardon me. Would I get excited if he joined? sure, because he's a brilliant player. Like, it'd be hard not to like get sort of carried away with the hype of how good he is. But he's not. He wouldn't be up there as like my number 1 or 2 for that role. No, and I would personally stray away from it. Bashir Humphries would have been brilliant backup. He would have. He's been really good for Burnley this year, hasn't he? He would have. Quick thoughts on the possibility of signing Leao. I sort of said this at the start, Zach, but I'll go over it really quickly again. I don't know if you watched the game last night. On the ball, he is literally like unreal. So good. And I would take him. But out of possession has to come into account. And it would all come down to what buy-in can you get from him. Because on the ball, I'd have literally no worries about him at all. I think you isolate him with the ball. He's going to bring you goals, assists. He's going to be a nightmare to defend. He's going to attract double teams, which is going to open up central pockets for other players. Perfect. Sorry, I read a comment there and I just sort of completely lost where I was at. Out possession for Leao. That's where you got to watch it. But of course, yeah, he was magical last night. One of those guilt signings. Yeah, I hear that for sure. It's, yeah, as soon as it happens, you'd be like, oh my days, like it's like a superstar signing as well. So yeah, I can't blame you for that at all. Who's your all-time favourite Chelsea player, Connor? Mine's always been Zola. Who thinks they can guess it? I'd like to see if people can guess my favourite. Have a few guesses. I'm not sure if I've ever said it. I don't think I've ever said my outright favourite on a video or a stream or anything. In what type of games do you see Jackson Ekitike starting over the lap? Because I think the lap skills fits in most game states. I agree, Waleed. I think long term he can literally become so complete that he fits in every game state. My biggest thing with him would be sort of he's still needs a little bit more refinement in terms of creation for other players and sort of dropping in deep. So I think against teams that are going to sort of press and they like load out the middle in their press and be very sort of press centric centrally, where you need this player to sort of be part of that midfield 3 and then allow these guys to run on. Then I think that's where someone like Jackson Ekitike at the minute offers something a bit different that you need. Zach saying Hazard, Stella saying Joe Cole. Neither of those are right. Any other guesses? I'm going to quickly refresh the stream, see what we're at. We're at 87 likes. Huge. Can we try and run that to 100? If there's anyone in here that hasn't liked the stream yet, we'll probably only go for another 5 minutes to make it an hour-long stream. So any last questions that you want to ask, get them in the chat. If you want to guess my favourite player as well, get that in the chat now because I'm interested to see what people think. Will Kelly saying John Terry, and I'd assume that is because you can see the signed shirt in the background up there, but it is not John Terry. It's not Cole. Alexander is correct. Didier Drogba is my number 1. To be fair to Zach, Hazard is my number 2. It would be Drogba, then Hazard. Bakayoko from George. Madueke from Stella. No, I like Madueke. I like Madueke, but he's nowhere near. No, he's not even my favourite in the current team. And again, I rate Madueke. I think the reason people think that like I've got such a thing for Madueke is because I feel like the need to defend him because I think he doesn't get. I don't think Madueke gets enough praise for what he actually does because I think he gets a lot of hate for what he doesn't do. He's not our Nuno Mendes hater, no. No, he's not a Nuno Mendes type. He's more of a physical left centre back, but like. He's an aggressive left centre back, and he's brilliant on the ball progressively. He's not got the same sort of attacking dynamism as a Mendes. People are saying this, and I like. Obviously, he could do it, but like he is a winger. He just is. Like for me, Quenda has to start as a touchline winger. Like has to. Kante, again, he's up there, Will, but it is Drogba. Where are we at? 89 likes. Let's keep running that up. See Hato like a left-footed timber. It's not bad. Not a bad one. I do really like Hato. Here's one for you to sort of like round up. If our window ended, the entire window ended with, let's say, Maignan and Gittens, because we've got them on here. Pardon me. And let's say Hato Rodgers, and Ekitike, and Jackson sold. So we end up with 5 signings, like big signings: Maignan, Gittens, Rodgers, Neto, Ekitike. What do you rate that out of 10? That 5. And then, like, outgoings, you'd obviously have Jackson going in that sense. You'd have a lot more sales as well. What do you think Ishe is our more overlapping option? He's the most overlapping option that we currently have on the left. I don't think it's like he's such a perfect hybrid, similar to Josh. He can literally do everything. He is the perfect hybrid defender. So yeah. With Lewis saying how fluid can we get with Delap as our starting 9? That shouldn't affect it too much because Delap can sometimes cheat left, but he is like willing to sort of go into the channels and make runs in behind. The more fluid part of the team would be these wide triangles, and that's like the next step in my opinion. So I don't think it would affect the fluidity. I've sort of said this about PSG, for example, and even with Arsenal, I think that's what they're building towards. The idea with them that is slightly different is they want players in every single position on the pitch that without fail, if they find themselves in a different position, they will take up that role and they will do it. They will have the same responsibilities on and off ball. So Ødegaard is like supposed, and again they get stick for this, so it's fair because he has his moments off the ball, on the ball, sorry, which some would question. He maybe hasn't delivered the same level of creativeness that they need at all times. But what you get with Ødegaard is if he finds himself at right centre back on the ball and they lose it, he will work his socks off, and he knows he's got the IQ to apply himself effectively in that role to make sure it doesn't hurt Arsenal. And that's why Arteta trusts him, ultimately. Same with PSG. Yes, they're technicians with Vitinha and Neves and Dembele. But again, if they find themselves somewhere where they're not, like, it's not their natural position and they lose the ball, they will take up the responsibility of the role that they're currently in. So say Dembele ends up in left central midfield. He will defend as a left central midfielder until they win that ball back. And there's no ego there. And that's so important when you're trying to apply this sort of zone replacement ideology. Everybody has to be bought in, because if one person isn't bought in, the whole thing falls apart. So that's where it sort of comes from. Where are we at? I didn't read this one. Do you think we need a more physical centre-back to improve our set pieces offensively? I think it would help, like a Diamonde, for example, would help in that sense. But if Fofana's fit, that's an option. Tosin has been giving that as well. I think Delap offers a new sort of aerial threat from corners as well. Neto offers a little bit more physicality if he's starting at left back. Again, I'm not saying he'd be starting over Kukurea because he just wouldn't. But I'm saying, like, long term, like, these are pieces that you're adding. So I think if the overall squad profile gets a bit bigger, and again, Sarr is another one as well. So I think if you start adding those players bit by bit, then I don't think you need one player specifically. When do we think we'll hear about Maignan? I think we get some news today on one thing or another. I think whether it's Maignan or Gittens, I'm almost certain we get something today on one of those two. And that is not sourced. When I say almost certain, that is not, I've not been told. That is purely guesswork, but I would be shocked if we didn't hear something today. Haven't watched much of Sarr, by the way. Does he have the bozo gene? I wouldn't say he does, really. I think he's really calm on the ball, especially in the last year at Strasbourg. So he had sort of like minimal minutes elsewhere, like with Monaco, with Lyon, and things like that. But I think he's really sort of grown this season playing at Strasbourg, and I just think progressively on the ball, he's really tidy, really tidy. I was going to end, but we're starting to get a few more questions in, and again, so we got 78 people watching again. It's sort of spiked back up a bit. So let me refresh, because 91. If we can get that to 100 likes, 9 more likes. If we can get that to 100 likes, that would be amazing. So I'm kind of wanting to maybe carry on for another 10-15 minutes if we can get that to 100 likes, because that'd be brilliant. I think that'd be the first stream that I've ever done where it hits 100 likes before it ends, because my streams usually get to about 150 in the end, but like they usually sort of tot up views and likes after the stream when it becomes a video. So 80 people in the house. If you haven't liked, what are you doing? Like the video. Also, would you guys like to see sort of guests on Tactics Talk? Because like we sort of just sort of do this. We usually when I run up a Tactics Talk, I'll join. I'll have something in mind that we're going to speak about. So like yesterday or Saturday, it was the left wing position. I bring like a few bits that I want to talk about specifically. We do that in the first sort of 20 minutes. And then the rest of the sort of video / stream, we sort of just answer questions and go through things. So would you guys like to see that with guests? Because again, I've got people that I speak to on a regular basis to the point where I think we could get some good guests on if that's what if people want to hear it and see it. So what was so yeah, you said Ekitike. Let's look at the ratings that we got for that window. 7.5 from Zach. If we signed Leao, it would be a 10 out of 10. Let's turn the fan on again because it's getting hot. Stella with a 7. Nacho, George, both with 8s. I think 8's fair. I think 8's a fair score, to be fair. We answered that question. Need a centre-back. Right centre-back. See, thoughts on Bade? I really like Bade, Seb. I would take him 100%. If he was going to be like, if it was him and Fofana, I think profile-wise they really suit. The only thing then is like Sarr is like another similar one. So like, did you really need to do that with Sarr? Is my thoughts with the right centre-back. And then a Chempong as well. So that it's a tough one because then you're saying we need a right centre-back, Stella. But again, if it depends, if Sarr's really good in the Club World Cup, does he stay or does he get loaned? What happens with Josh? Like, there's a lot, and like you say, we can't rely on Fofana. I completely agree. But if Trev stays as well, how much is it needed? Depends on the trust in Josh, and it depends on what happens with Sarr. If one of those two moves, then I'm completely with it. Opinion on Denner guy we got Football Universe. I have to admit, I've not watched much of him at all. I've really not. So I would not be able to give you a thorough sort of explanation without, yeah, I'm not really sure where I was going with that. I wouldn't be able to give you like a thorough idea of what I think of him yet. Will Mamadou Sarr, can Mamadou Sarr adapt to the pace of the Premier League? I think so, yeah. Zach saying 100% to guests. Wouldn't be ideal on Tactics Talks, wants one clear perspective. Yeah, see, I do kind of hear that because, like, again, and like Zach's just said here, Connor, there are so many people that talk about tactics but have no idea what they're saying, needs to bring on proper guests. And I think that's the thing. I think when it comes to tactics, and I think everybody can have an opinion on it. I think it's one of those things where people will look at it, people will come to their own conclusions. A lot of people do their research, like in terms of even if it's just watching people that do the actual research themselves and then sort of form their opinion. I think that's completely fair. But I do think there's some people that take it, again, I've not even got anyone in mind actually, but like some people have like gone the route. And I think when it comes to Tactics Talk, the reason I like doing these streams and talking tactics generally is because I've been in the performance analysis like circuit. So like I know where I can sort of come from that perspective. Whereas some people are sort of coming from the YouTube perspective. Would love to see you bounce off someone else, especially if it meant a longer format. Outside of your social group, are there any creators out there you would like to do a video with? It's tough because there's so many people that I like talk to now. Like it depends what you like see as a social group because like I say, whilst I'm still trying to grow my own channel, I work with quite a lot of other creators. And like sort of help, and I do like analysis. And I work for like Squawker and like places like that. And I've like had chances to do podcasts and videos for certain places like that. So like my work is quite outsourced at the minute. So I've worked with like quite a lot of those people. In terms of is there people that I'd like to do, and again I think the problem is my type of content slightly different. Some people are sort of like more there for their personality and like being really sort of like out there, and it's something I do want to bring through more in my channel like soon. I don't want it to be like, I feel like there's a middle ground which is nice of between really explosive sort of content trying to be very personable and like really shouty sort of like passionate, and then I think there's sort of like my end which is slightly more informative and hopefully like helps with people that join the stream who enjoyed sort of the little bit more deep dive form of content. I do want to try and find a middle ground over time. But I think the thing for me has always been, can I build a sort of a platform first where people trust what I'm saying? Jason Groves, that would be... I'm thinking about doing this on playback because I'm thinking about having Tactics Talk on YouTube as sort of like where we talk about one thing and I sort of have it here. I think your content is perfect for a podcast. That's the goal, right? That's one of my targets, Zach, yeah, to have a tactics podcast for sure. I think at the minute, my sort of long goal is, can I make it that everybody that comes here trusts what I'm saying? That's why I'm trying to sort of build that platform first. I want people to feel like they can trust what I'm telling you, and then we can have conversation about it, sort of thing. Like, people will have different opinions, that is what it is, but I want to build to a point where people come to me because they see value in what I sort of offer. And then from there, hopefully we can then build a community big enough that personality becomes sort of a lot easier to sort of integrate without ruining the integrity. Love the playback idea. Yeah, so I'm thinking Tactics Talk on YouTube for this, and then Tactics Talk on playback, so that we got two, because I've already got a Tactics Talk channel on playback. And then what I could do is especially now that I got this, and I can actually use playback through the computer now, because I was using it through my phone originally. He'd support the channel. Let's go, DJ Sav. Like the stream if you haven't already, but really appreciate it, my guy. First time listening to the stream. Support the channel community. Really do appreciate it. I'm really trying to build something special here. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. But yeah, that would be the idea on playback, because then obviously I can bring everybody up. You can ask questions. It doesn't have to be all through the chat. And then people can talk amongst themselves as well. It doesn't have to just be me. And then I can bring up guests. You got my 100 likes. Let's go. Let's go. Let's have a look. 100 likes. We're on the ball. On the ball. 100 likes. Thank you very much for the support today, guys. 100 like stream with our first new setup stream. With the mic, with the... I forgot the word for a video camera. Webcam. Very, very appreciative. Very appreciative. Any last questions? We'll maybe go for another 3-4 minutes, get it to like the 1:15 mark, and then we will leave it. So last few questions in the stream. But I do really appreciate everybody for joining today and showing support. Subscribe if you haven't already, like I say. Really does help out as well with the likes. Patrick saying striker chat, if we get Ekitike, which looks doubtful for now, we'll have to sell Jackson. 3 strikers seems a bit shameless. Yes, I've said this a few times. I think Matt Law's briefs basically to state that, we're going for... like Ekitike would be joining Jackson and Delap as the striker options. I purely think that's to protect Jackson's value. I think the idea is if you then look to sell Jackson, but what you're trying to do is make it out like you don't want to sell him so that the price is higher. And when clubs come in to ask about his price, you say, oh no, we don't really want to sell him. So the price is still quite premium. Like, we still want 50 odd million for him. And then teams will be like, rather than teams thinking they need to get rid of him. If not Ekitike, who do we go for? I want Ekitike, but if not, I'm happy to keep Jackson and Delap for a year. I think it's undercooked. And do I think it challenges for a league title next season? No. But I would be fine with it if you then go and get the hybrid player that you want. So Rodgers, maybe João Pedro is another idea, because he can do a little bit of both. He can be the left wing profile and the third choice striker. You wouldn't have to get rid of Jackson if you got a João Pedro in the door, in my opinion. So that's another option. Who would be your ingoings and outgoings for defence? Would you play Casado at right back consistently? Consistently, no. Would I still do it at points? Yes, I think it's a tactical choice that you can have. Ingoings, outgoings for defence. I mean, if we're talking in an ideal world, I'd probably loan Sarr. Sell, Disasi, sell. For sure. And then I think it all depends on, it's all opportunistic in the rest of it. Because I think if Tosin, I wouldn't sell Tosin. But Badiashile, for example, if a good bid comes in for him, is it worth weighing up? Yes, absolutely. So it depends on what bid you get. Again, Trev, I'd like to keep him around, but if a ridiculous bid comes in, say 40 million for Trev, it's probably worth taking that. Because Fofana's your first choice. Tosin's there. Chempong is like hopefully going to get a minutes buff. Sarr hasn't been loaned yet. You can go and bring in another centre back, which he was already planning on doing. So it gives you options. In terms of incomings, like again, I would love to bring. I'd love to bring in. I'm sorry if I heard like a alarm or something. Diamonde would be my number one. Maybe Ekitike could be a smoke screen, and we bring Osimhen in on loan. I guess that would be a dream signing, wouldn't it, DJ? Would be an absolute dream signing. Right, let's refresh one last time, and I think we're going to call it a day there. 101 likes. Thank you, everybody, for this, because that is absolutely huge. Really do appreciate that. I'm going to try and make this, like, at least this week, I'm going to be doing a lot of streams, and then most weeks, I want to have at least 1 or 2 streams. Again, this week, we've got more scout reports coming out this week, so I'm doing Mbermo and Gittens. They're the 2 that's coming out on the channel this week in terms of scout files. So again, on the scout files videos, every little bit of your support really, really helps. Please just smash the like button on those videos. Comment, let me know your thoughts. I'll always try and get back to comments. So yeah, we're going to leave it there, Lewis. But I do think Esteval, I don't want him to be thrust into the main light straight away, but I think he will adapt quickly throughout the season. Go watch the stream back, because I spoke about him briefly at the start, Thomas Araujo, but I like him. Good aggressor and good on the ball. Great stream. Got the bell on for the next one. Up the Chelsea from Patrick. And on that note, up the Chelsea. Thanks everybody for joining, and I will see you guys in the next stream/video, whatever it may be. Thanks for the support. See you guys next time.